Hello once again. Today we'll be working with solving equation basics. As you can see, my handwriting has not gotten better, although I assume it will as we go through. I'd like to start today's video with two quotes, both by Mark Twain. The first one is, "The secret of getting ahead is getting started." It's very important, especially as we consider our Algebra 2 and everything that we plan on doing this year. The second quote, also by Mark Twain, is, "A man who carries a cat by the tail learns something he can learn in no other way." Let us combine these words of wisdom and get started learning. Here's equation number 1. We've got 3x minus 10 equals 4. I'd like us to solve this for x. So go ahead now, please pause the video, try this problem, and then come back and we'll solve it together. Great, so you tried it. Hopefully you have an answer. Let's see if it matches mine. I'm going to go ahead and write 3x equals 14. As I add the 10 to that side, I'm going to divide both sides by 3, and I'm going to get x equals 14 thirds. I'm going to see if I can simplify it. In this case, I cannot. So I'm just going to leave it like this. Remember, we like improper fractions. Anytime we want to substitute this back in, anything like that, we're going to get this answer. If we tried to change it to decimal form, it would round. It wouldn't be as accurate as 14 thirds. And if we tried to turn it into a mixed number, we just confuse ourselves and others. So we're going to leave it like this. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up a website called desmos.com, and I'm going to show this. I'm actually going to try and check my answer and make sure that it's right. So I've pulled up desmos.com, and this is one of the websites we're going to be using to check our answers, to do graphing, to do all kinds of cool stuff. But I want to use this to kind of check my answer and make sure that I did that problem right. Now, of course, hopefully you are very comfortable with 3x minus 10 equals 4. But when we plug that in, do you notice how I just tried to point to the screen, people? Don't do that. I'll use my cursor instead. Notice that we get this answer of 4.666667, which is clearly rounded, and it's not the 14 thirds that we got before. This is an answer that would be good for an estimate, but is not an exact answer. So what I want to do is I want to check to make sure that the answer I got matches. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to type in 14 thirds. And when I get this, I get that these two answers are equivalent. This is a very good check for myself to see whether or not the improper fraction I got matches what the real world kind of thinks it is with the estimation. In this case, it looks good. So I'm going to go back, I'm going to be satisfied with my answer, and I'm going to try and solve equation number 2, which is right here. Look at equation number 2. It's so much fun. Pause the video, try it, then come back. Yeah, you paused it. You did it. Come back. Let's see what we can do. Now, we're not solving for x, we're solving for p. That's no problem. Still a variable. We've got it on the right-hand side. No problem. Just need to isolate it. So I'm going to start by subtracting 4 from both sides. And I'm going to get negative 3 equals 2 thirds p. Now, there are several ways. I could divide both sides by 2 thirds, but that's no fun. Dividing by a fraction is much less fun than if we multiply by the reciprocal. That should be a good quote for you. Multiply by the reciprocal. Make sure you do it. Make sure we do it here. The reciprocal number that we multiply to get to 1, I'm going to multiply both sides by 3 halves. Notice I'm writing this down. That way I stay clear. These will cancel. It's the job. That's what they're supposed to do. And we get p is equal to 3 times 3, which is negative 9 over 2. I am not going to go into Desmos right now and check. I'm going to leave that as an exercise for you. Go ahead and go into Desmos, make sure that you get negative 9 halves. That one should come out fairly exact since it's 0.5. And once you've done that, move on to question number 3. Now, go ahead and pause this, solve it, and then I'm going to show you 2 different ways to solve this problem. So, the first way is I'm going to distribute this 8 in here. The first way we're going to solve is we're going to distribute the 8 to both of these, and we're going to get 8b minus 24 equals 17. We're going to get 8b equals 24 plus 17 is 41. 8b we're going to divide, so we're going to get b equals 41 eighths. Okay? Now you can go into Desmos and you can check that answer. Okay? Or you could plug it back in. You can make sure that it does that. Both of those are good answers for us. Now, say we didn't want to distribute first. Say instead that we had wanted to divide both sides by 8. We would have gotten that b minus 3 equals 17 eighths. Okay? 17 eighths is not bad. But when we go to our next step, we're going to get that b equals 17/8 plus 3. Of course, these two don't look the same at the moment. Okay, this one's much nicer. It's a single term. Here we have two different numbers, and we got to figure out how to add them. So we're going to need to make them have a common denominator and add them and do all that kind of stuff. And when we do that, we're going to notice that it's 17/8 plus 24/8. When we do that, we're going to get that b equals 41/8. Imagine that. These two are equivalent, and they are equivalent up here as well. But the problem is, this is not finished. This took an extra couple of steps to get there. Now I'll tell you a secret. This way works, and this way works. They both work. They both get us the same answer. Sometimes when we're doing algebra, just like in geometry, just like in anything else, there are multiple roads to the same answer. You make sure you follow each of those roads down, and some of those roads are a little bit harder than the other ones. But when you get there, you should get to the final answer, and it should be the same. Again, check your answer. This time, plug it in here and see if it actually works. I'll leave it as an exercise. Do good work. Then meet me on the next page, which is a page of cats. Now, hopefully you're feeling more like the happy cat down here than you are like the sad cat up here. Happy cats are good, sad cats are bad. Moving on. Try equation number 4. Meet me back here in just a minute. Alright, so let's solve this bad boy. Now this would be really easy if there weren't fractions here, right? We would just add the two numbers. If this was a 2 and this was a 3, we'd have 5m and we'd go about it. However, you should be comfortable with adding fractions. Don't let fractions get in your way. If we have 1/3 of an m here and we have 2/5 of an m here, we're just going to add those fractions and get that over here. So 1/3 plus 2/5. If you watched my previous video, the intro one, you know my trick. If not, I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to get 5 times 1, which is 5, 3 times 2, which is 6, 3 times 5 on the bottom, which is 15. So I get 11/15. So now I have 11/15 m equals 16. We're going to get the reciprocal of this, so we're going to multiply both sides by 15/11 times 15/11. We've got m equals 16 times 15/11. I don't know that off the top of my head, so I'm going to go to my calculator. And when I've gone to my calculator, I get 16 times 15 is 240/11. Now again, that doesn't look great, but there's no way to simplify it. It's just an improper fraction. We love it. We got our answer. You feel free to check it if you would like. And let's move to practice. So, as usual, I'm going to give you these problems for practice. I'm going to show you the answers, and then I'm going to go through all of the work. Alright, so you can see the answers here. Again, I worked through it. You should be able to follow my work. If you can't, if you have any questions, make sure you watch the work through at the end of this video. Other than that, if you're done, see y'all later. If you're interested, keep watching. So you want to know how it's done, huh? I admire it. I like it. Let's do it. I'm going to change the color. We're going to go with orange today. I don't know. I'm just feeling orangey. Now, as we saw in our video earlier, we could divide by 2, but I think it's going to be better if we distribute first. I think it's going to make our lives a little bit easier. So we're going to get 2q minus 8 equals 17. I'm going to add that to both sides. I'm going to get 2q equals 25, and I'm going to get that q equals 25 halves. Again, can't simplify, improper fraction. I love it. We're done. This one's a little bit trickier. Now, I've got 1/3, I've got 2/7, I got the 5 and the 14. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract this over here. I'm going to subtract the 5 over here. So when I'm done moving things around, I'm going to get 1/3 m minus 2/7 m equals negative 14 minus 5. I did that all in one step, but don't be afraid. Should be fine. No problems. Now, we need to add these two fractions together. So I'm going to do 7 times 1 is 7. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6 all over 3 times 7, which is 21. So I'm going to get 7 minus 6 21st. It looks like I'm going to get 1 21st m equals negative 19. To get m by itself, I need to do m equals, I'm going to get negative 399. So m equals negative 399. Woo! That's awesome. Now, this last one here, I have a couple of options. Again, solving for b, I think I'm going to double distribute. This looks very similar to that. I must not have done my homework. Now, 2b minus 8 equals 15 minus 3b. Ooh, I'm going to add the b's over here so they're positive. Personal preference does not matter. And I'm going to get 5b equals 8 and 15 added together will be 22. And I'm going to get that b equals 22 fifths. So you just watch me work through all of these problems. I did do it fairly quickly, so if you have any specific problems, watch it again, see what steps I use. Make sure you watch the part of the video again that corresponds to each of these problems. That's it. Thanks for watching. Y'all have a great day.